even though they fucked you up. No mom deserves to be spit in the face. I draw the line there. Girlfriends, fuck them. Most of you, 98% of the kids today, say there's nothing worth dying for. I still have a lot of things that I'm willing to die for. And of course, where are we? If the corona spreads like the Black Plague of 1535, which I hope the hell it doesn't, the last time corona was here in 1918, 1919, there were 1.5 billion people on the earth. 500 million were infected. 1/3 of the world was infected with the corona. You can go back and Google people that went to baseball games are all wearing masks. Cops on the beat are all wearing masks, but everybody forgets about this. People were dying in the fucking street. So the first rule of crisis management is lie to the public because they can't take the truth. Lie. Boris did it. Trump does it. Don't you understand? They buy $135,000 watches, my kids now. When you have money, they buy Rollers and shit. You can't stand the truth. And that's why the officials lie. And that's why they're trying to catch Trump in a lie. He probably wasn't ready to leave the hospital. He forced the doctor. I would have never gone to the hospital. And yet you want to find some air in something that's been published by the news or published by the government. You want to find something. Why? What good does it do? You got nothing better to do. Why don't you go out and do something? All the mentees that you've heard don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They can't describe the deal. They can't describe the structure. He would know a holding company if it bit him in the dick. You ask questions. I've been doing this 50 years. I never thought of. How is that possible? That you and you and you have asked questions I have not heard come up out of any successful high-performance person's lips in 50 years. How is that? Is it you're smarter than all these guys I know? I don't think so. Are you more afraid? Yes. And you're looking for a reason not to do it. Now, how many of you have kids? You're not supposed to have favorite kids, right? You love all the kids the same. That's bullshit. But anyway, you all know you got a favorite. So now I take your favorite. How old's your favorite kid? You take the little girl, you hold her by her ponytail, whatever, and I take a gun and I put it in her mouth like this. And I say, you got 72 hours to do so-and-so, or I'm going to splatter her brains all over that screen. You would move heaven and hell to save the little girl's life. Are you cunts? I hope not. And you, the two defense forces, fuck you. I eat people like you for breakfast. You can't take the truth. That's why Boris and Trump don't give you the truth, because you can't fucking take it. America knew how bad we were off. There'd be panic. Well, there is panic, isn't there? They're shooting people down in the street. Just imagine if you knew one of three of you were gonna die. They'd be storming the White House. You can't take the truth. Do you think Winston Churchill told the Brits from 1939 to 1943, 44 that they were losing the war? No. Why? Because they can't take the truth. All I'm suggesting is why not us? I've already done it. I have nothing to prove. But every generation gets cunt-like. No balls. Or as Gerard said, hold your head up high. I think Gerard says that because he has trouble standing up straight for the reason I explained to you. Remember, 99.9% of the people that have been successful with QLA have not been to the castle, have never met me. I could not think of a better environment for us than now. Worldwide interest rates, they're giving away money free, literally for free. And now we've got the sellers. The only moving part for QLA before Corona was a motivated seller, except now it's not so difficult to find them. I feel sorry for them, and I don't feel empathy or sympathy, but it's the closest I felt sorry for anybody. Like you read about people that are afraid to go out of their house. You read about people that are afraid to go out of their bedroom, right? You see those people on the news. What are they afraid of? We all know it's perception is reality. If they think they should be afraid, they're afraid. So it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. But we know if they step out of their bedroom, they're not going to die, right? We know if they step out into the street, they're not going to die, right? But they're still afraid. You can't convince the people that they shouldn't be afraid. We've had parents or relatives or some kind of relation that aren't well. They're not mentally well. We all have had somebody in our family. In my family, they say I'm the one not mentally well. But we all know that. Fear is false expectations appearing real. The reason why boxing was so effective, and now because of Corona, I still have it with Corona spitting on each other. I don't give a fuck. But the next wave of lawsuits, and I predicted this, everybody's ignoring me. The next big wave of lawsuits, class action suits, are when somebody dies, they can trace back that he caught Corona on an American Airlines flight. It's over! The fucking end of the airline industry forever! And that's what Warren Buffett was saying when he sold all his airline stocks. Do you understand that? When somebody can trace it back, track and trace, he got the Corona on an American Airlines shuttle from fucking Boston to New York City, they are through, and it's coming. And they already figured that out with ships. Are you going to want to get on a ship with 3 or 6 or 8,000, whatever, Nobody loved booze cruising more than Sally and I. You don't know who touched what when you go to the airport. And I'm proud of you guys for being being here. But when you go to the airport, you don't know what the cocksucker touched, right? You don't know. But you're afraid enough to be here because it's called opportunity cost loss. That's why you're here. Your fear of staying poor is bigger than your fear of dying from the fucking corona. Your fear of staying where you are, status quo, a worthless piece of shit that should have rolled down your fat mama's leg, is greater than you getting the corona. What does it take to get you to take action? God almighty, what the fuck? Something's fucked up about that. And we got them stacked up. If they allowed me, I could put 400 people in here for the seminar. But at least you're here, so I'm proud of you. Maybe you're not your buddy back in the corner, not him. I gotta be honest with you, you know. If he dies tonight, I don't give a shit. But we use his suit and his clothes to shine our shoes. When I was in Israel, God love him, they said that you're irreverent, Mr. Pena. I had the head rabbi, government rabbi, tell me, you're irreverent, Mr. Pena. Yes, sir. Probably so. And we signed a deal with the Israeli government on the Sabbath. Everybody tells me I'm lying about that. It's the goddamn truth. On the Sabbath. Because I said, we're leaving. And then we ate dinner that night in a Bedouin tent out in the desert with the senior officials out there. Outside the tent, there were rats as big as cats running around the tent. They said, have you always been like this, Mr. Pena? Yeah, I'm a little better now. As Gerard said, I don't want to say it's easy, but it's easy. And all of them have one thing in common. They don't understand the deal to this day. They use the wrong words. Even Josh Kim, God love him, uses the wrong words. How is that possible? They don't even know what the fuck they're doing, yet they're succeeding. Now, most of the guys, the other gurus, would lie to you and tell them that, you know, we sold them 15 courses. And no, as long as you're on the field, as long as you're on the pitch, on the crease in cricket terms, and as long as you're in the batter box and you keep swinging away, you're eventually the wood's gonna hit the ball. In this system, we've gotten deals done from 80 IQ to 180 IQ. Based on the questions, we may have some close to 80 IQers in the room. I may ask a couple of you to give me IQ results. So if you're 70 IQ, that's even better. So then I can say 70 IQ to 180 IQ. The 80 IQ did a $400 million deal, and the 180 IQ did a $40 million deal. Now that in and of itself should be satisfying to you, not on the 180 IQ end, but on the 80 IQ. Now, I haven't ever had anybody with Down syndrome do a deal. It'd be a great story, and I might make it up that we had an Israeli from Tel Aviv with Down syndrome at the seminar. We know who we're talking about, don't we? But that would be just 100% lie. That just wouldn't be an exaggeration, maybe. But I mean, it's so fucking easy. It's criminal, it's so easy. Now, I would like to think that the deal, it only worked for white Anglo-Saxon Christians, but it doesn't. It works for every swinehund there is. It just works. Now, just imagine, first high-performance thing I ever did was become an officer. And I had the privilege of being attached to two senior generals, a one-star general and a two-star general. And the one-star general, a guy named Roy Atterbury, God love him, he was a racist from Texas. He says, Pena, you're the sorry excuse in this man's army for an officer. This was in 1967. It shows you what the army, this man's army has come to. Wetback Mexicans can become an officer. Can you imagine if somebody said that to a young officer today? Can you just imagine? And my mother was a wetback illegal alien. She came across the border as an illegal alien in 1924. She swam across the Rio Grande River. So he didn't know how close he was hitting the home. Now, if I had told him that, I can't imagine what he would have used to verbally abuse me. But my parents, especially my father, taught me it's not what happens to you in life, it's how you interpret it. And unfortunately, most of the people that come to the seminar focus on interpretation negatively. And in some cases, you live with it all your life. And it doesn't have to be that way. And when you see people break out against the grain, so to speak, like I did, from that picture in front of my house that I showed you, that's a rough-ass fucking neighborhood. When I go back, and whenever we come out of Los Angeles and the limo turns right, from downtown Los Angeles to Jonathan Club, the kids say, oh, Daddy, we're not going to see where you lived again, are we? I said, I never want you to forget. It says, that's your life, Daddy. That wasn't ours. And our daughter says, I chose to have rich parents. I don't suffer from that. They're not interested in the fact that I come from the barrio. Of course, why would Barron Trump be worried about a great-grandfather that came from Scottish ghetto? He wouldn't, would he? Our kids are in a similar vein. Now, some of the questions you've asked that I've postponed, I'm never going to answer because it doesn't make a shit. I've never experienced it in 50 years. If it hasn't happened to me in 50 years, and if I haven't seen it happen to anybody in 50 years, the likelihood of it happening to you are zero. Whatever you've read, it hasn't told you that 95% of the things you worry about aren't ever going to happen. My lawyer asked me, what do I do? I said, healthcare telco. It's like I'm still saying, I didn't know how prolific that was going to be because that was 35 years ago. Healthcare has grown from roughly 10% of GDP, 10 cents of every dollar spent by the British and the US government is in health. Now it's 20 cents. So in the last 35 years, it roughly doubled. And you can say this, in the civilized world, in the free civilized world, healthcare costs have roughly doubled. doubled. In Nigeria, Ukraine, it hasn't. But in the civilized world, it's roughly doubled. It's growing at 4 to 5% a year now. So in 10 years, probably be 25% or 28%. Our grandson that was born last year, there was a study put out. Babies born in 2019, their average age will be 93 years old. What does that equate to? A lot of health care, additional health. When I was born, it was 64 years old or 61 years old. And the older people are the people that have the money. Old people don't want to die. They have the money, and not because of the National Health Service or public health. They pay for it, just like I do. When I went down and took all those tests a couple weeks ago, I paid for them. If I waited for the NHS to give me those fucking tests, I'd be 100 years old. Somewhat of an exaggeration, but not much. Modern healthcare is they want to save you money. Unless you really need the test or they deem that you need the test, they don't give you the fucking test. Well, I want to know if there's anything in the back of my hair. I tell the joke. It's not a joke. When we did it, when Sally and I did it, they lost the MRI of her brain years ago when we did it. They said you were a pea brain. No way they lost it because it was the size of a fucking pea. It took weeks for them. I don't know how they lose it. And then it came back and she was perfect. Okay, guys, go fuck yourself.